Avi Meyer's Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself, web, ntnm.org, caps24.org. Sonny Hirsch, chairman of the District Advisory 24th District in his spare time, runs the websites, and Community Policing Alive and Well in the 24th District. We are occasionally graced by greatness. It doesn't happen every day. It doesn't happen every week. Sometimes it only happens once a year. The star of the second most watched show in Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine history, second only behind the Deep Tunnel, is the myth, the legend. He's not really a person. He's imaginary. But you know what? Yes, Virginia, there is a Marty Levinson. There's no question about it. And it is a pleasure to reintroduce, and by the way, nobody's been on more shows than me. The one who's been on the most shows other than me is Marty Levinson.
Thank you,
sure.
Avi. What a pleasure to see you again. Sonny, hi, Sonny.
Thank you. And, we were very privileged earlier today to have two very distinguished people, Marty Levinson. And, it's gotten to the point where if I don't ask people to do a Marty Levinson, they feel slighted or that they're not that important.
Really?
Yeah, really.
I'm a legend in my own mind.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, people actually are doing, you look at, we've got all these gorgeous women wanting to come on the show and do it with the flair, one way or another.
My telephone number is.
And by the way,
just kidding, Karen, just kidding.
For those of you who don't know, Marty really is a real barber.
I am.
He used to run Tourist Barber Shop.
I did.
A lot of bowl.
25
right
years,
around
26 years, yes.
And that's how I originally met him.
Yes.
And from now he is at...
When you were in the printing business.
That's correct. Well, actually, I knew you... Yeah. Well, I was using Bob originally.
Yes.
And Bob moved into your barber
shop. Oh, my
shop.
God, we have to talk about Bob.
Sure. Let's talk about Bob. Well, first of all, but now I just want to tell people that Marty is now located in Wildwood, which is not, not a gay barbershop. It's the name of the neighborhood. And it's kitty corner from the Target on Toohey,
and
out
Costco,
Niles.
And Costco on Toohey and Melvina.
Toohey and Melvina, a famous Chicago street.
Yes.
But anyway, he's over there. And by the way, hi to the landlord, Frank Avila.
Yes. Frank always says, say hello to Avi, and I'm saying hello for you.
Yeah, thank
you.
And
his son.
And please say hello to Frank. Frank's a good guy.
Frank Jr. and Frank Sr.
And
nice people.
He's commissioner of the Water Reclamation District.
Nice gentleman. He's a gentleman.
And very intelligent.
And he likes you. About it. I have to say.
I like him too. We're gonna invite him back this year.
He'll be happy to hear that.
Yeah, no.
He said, in all honesty, when he came down to say hello to Frank and me, he said, found out who I was, and then he goes, "How long have you known Avi?" I go, "I don't know, 30 some years."
Yeah.
He goes, "Really?"
More.
I go, "Yeah." I says, "I do the TV shows."
Yeah.
And he went, "Really? I'm doing a TV show with Avi." That was when he was going to be on your show. And ever since then, which is the last 8 months or so.
Yeah, it's more, well, you were in Florida for a little while, but I can't imagine, whenever it is that Bob left town, that's when I...
Bob came...
By the way, Bob was my barber, and he...
Bob Montesano. He was on Toohey and Sacramento for many years. He was closed up his shop because, for reasons... It doesn't make any difference, but then he came by me working 3 days a week. And about 3 months ago, out of the blue, Bob Montesano calls me.
Wow.
He lives in Detroit. He has a shop North Detroit in a Jewish area, which is not Detroit.
Southfield?
Yes. Bloomfield Hills.
Yeah, I have relatives.
And he has a men's hairstyling shop there for about 25 years or over 20 years. Anyway, we went together. We went out for dinner. His lovely wife, Judy, passed away a couple years ago, and he's dating a girl now who he knew 45 years ago. He was cutting her hair, her son's hair on the south side. And after his wife died, about a year later, he looked her up, and they're together, which I think is a lovely story. Anyway, he's my pal again.
Yeah,
we were pals anyway in the shop, and we've gone out a few times. We've gone to their house, and they've come to my house, and it's a nice thing.
No, I'm glad to hear it. He's a really good guy.
He was a good guy, and he always was a straight shooter with me, and I was with him.
Yeah, when I moved north, I needed a new barber, and my friend Murray Carroll used to go to Bob.
I got Murray too, and his father.
Yeah,
They had the
Dave,
Carroll.
Carroll's Red Hanger Shop.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, they used to take me to. They were a sponsor of the Blackhawks, and they had season tickets, and they used to take me to the Blackhawks games, and I got to see Bobby Hull and Stan Mikita.
Wow. That's a few years ago, though.
That was a few years ago, and by the way, it was interesting too because in those days, you had to get dressed in a suit to sit in certain sections of the stadium.
Really?
Yeah, it's all season ticket holders that were completely sold out for the year.
But did they all buy their
actually
clothes at
had
the
to
Red
wear-
Hanger shops?
Pardon?
Did they all buy their clothes at the Red Hanger shop?
Hopefully. But you know what? You had to have a suit and a tie,
Nice. I didn't know.
and
I
they
didn't
wouldn't
know that.
even serve you at the concession stands in those days with that one.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's a
But
little
that's
bit
not
of
the
trivia.
host, that's not the second balcony. That
no,
was like
it's-
lower down.
Yeah, where the prime seats are.
Oh, it's like there was a. You know what? When I used to go to the Bulls games, nobody was there. I loved the Bulls games. I loved the fact that nobody was there, and I could get really down low all the time, real cheap.
I'll tell you a story.
Sure.
Customer many years ago was Ben Bentley, and Ben Bentley was a boxing promoter in the 30s, 40s. And,
Host of the Sports Writers TV show.
Yes, host. That's Phil. So you know who I'm talking about. Anyway,
Yeah, great PR man. He was
didn't
he was
have-
the initial PR man for the Bulls.
that's what I'm getting to. And when the Bulls were at the stadium, they couldn't draw 1,000 people for a Bulls game. He would go out and hand out tickets, and so everybody would come down because if it was on television, they wanted to make it look like the stadium was filled. Bentley was the guy knew his stuff.
I met him once at your barber shop.
Oh,
by
did
the
you
way.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was there the same thing. You know, it's funny because the reason I got into the Bulls in the first place is they weren't attracting very many people, and they would have a contest that, like they'd hand each person a ticket or whatever.
Yeah.
And they'd give you 2 free tickets if you could name the top scorer in the first quarter. You know, who had the most points after the first quarter. So if 4 of us went to a game, half the time was Bob Love, so 2 of us would fill in Bob Love. The rest of us might do Chet Walker, whoever else, was popular at the time. And we went to maybe 25 games that year, and about 17 of them were for free. It was wonderful. And they were very nice, too, because if they gave us tickets on Shabbos, the Jewish Sabbath, when I couldn't go, they would change them for us.
Who was one of the other players that was a goodwill person at the new stadium for the Bulls? He just died a couple years ago. He played for the Bulls, and I took my wife and one of my kids and one of their friends to a Bulls game. I got tickets, and it wasn't Chet Walker. It wasn't no. But anyway,
he had a bad break with the Bulls.
This guy was the most wonderful. I walked up to him and I said to my daughter, "This is one of the
Johnny Kerr?
No, it was African American."
Ah, okay.
I said to him, to my daughter, this is one of the all-time greatest Bulls players of all time. And I can't remember his name. Isn't that terrible?
From the Guy Rogers?
No.
Norm Van Leer?
Yes, Norm Van Leer. And he shook my hand and he said, "Thank you very much for introducing a new generation of people to the Bulls."
I really liked Norm Van Leer a lot.
And he was a class act.
Very class, completely class. He told it the way it was.
Yeah, and he was a good guy.
Yeah.
I liked him.
By the way, his first wife was Jewish.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Her father was the police chief of a town in Pennsylvania.
Wow, interesting.
So, no, he was really, I loved listening to his analysis of the Bulls on the radio and watching him on TV.
See, a lot of these guys, they get so caught up into themselves that they're just not oriented to be friendly to anybody except more other basketball people or whatever. But he was definitely, I had a tear in my eye when he died.
I would say it too because he always was honest in his reporting. And because, he was on Comcast and he was on the Loop sometimes, and he had it's funny because I actually spent a day as Jonathan Brandmeier's sports announcer.
Really?
And the 2 guys who were sitting up front were Norm Van Leer and Danny Bonaducci, who were on the station at the time.
The
And I got a
red-haired
chance
kid
to talk
from
to him.
the television program from
Yeah,
the 80s.
the Brady kid.
Yeah.
He used to live around Foster in California.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And
He's from Chicago?
No. But he had his first radio gig was on a station that was related to was on the Loop.
Oh, okay, so he lived in the area
Yeah.
too.
And by the way, we got to cut off in 15 seconds. So at
I'm
this
sorry.
point,
Really? Can you believe it?
I want to thank you very much.
My pleasure. Sonny, the best.
Honorable Marty Levinson.
Thank you.
Okay.
Pleasure. Always a pleasure to be here.
at
Thank you so
Frank's-
much.
It's my pleasure. Frank's Wildwood Barber Shop on Tui, kitty corner from the Costco and the Target. I want to thank my entire technical crew, Sonny Hirsch. We are out of time. It's always a pleasure to have you, Marty.
Thank you.
Thank you
too.
so much. And by the way, it's pretty obvious I haven't seen him in the last month.
Next week. Next week.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
10:19.
Good?
That cuts into the Marty Levinsons.
All right. That was good.
That was great.
See, you never know what you're going to talk about.
How long was Piet? That's the whole trick to it. We have a conversation.
Absolutely.
How long was Piet 1824? Yes. So that's 2843. That gives me